Jib, also known as The House in America, is a South Korean animated film that first aired back in 2011. It was directed by Baju Young and four others, and later aired during the Korean movie nights in New York on February 12, 2013. Netflix was also airing The House during this time, but later on they removed it, and since then I haven't been able to rewatch The House, and information on it is very limited. I like to thank Lee Sang Young of HanCinema.net and HotshotLover30 of Soompi.com for their synopsises on The House. I'd also like to thank Alec Kubis-Meyer of Flixist.com, whose review of The House helped fill in many of the blanks I have. I'll be linking their pages in the description below, so please check them out when you can. Please keep in mind that this will not be a complete review of The House, since I don't have all the information and I don't think I'm ever going to find it. Hopefully someone in the comments below or somewhere else can fill in all the details I'm leaving behind. Right off the bat, I'm gonna have to start off with something I think I remember from the movie, and that's the opening shot. And I believe The House opens up with this windy tree surrounded by apartments and construction, and this will become important later on. This scene also shows us the blend of 2D characters and claymation environments. Alex states in his review that there's some clashing between the 2D characters and the claymation environments. Specifically, he points out this scene where the camera pans on a clothing line, where every article of clothing is modeled in clay, except for a 2D bra that a mischievous cat pulls down and plays with. An example of this is in older movies when a character would interact with an object in the environment, the object would be painted differently than the background. I can see how this can be more jarring in The House, since the backgrounds are made of clay and not painted. The story then follows Ga Young, a woman that wants to live in a fancy apartment because she thinks money is the only thing that can make her happy. She's also the only character whose name I know, since Alec doesn't name any other characters in his review. And unfortunately for Ga Young, her family goes bankrupt and she's forced to move into an ugly apartment with her friend, who Alex says is nice and then never mentions again. Hotshot Lover from Soompi describes this apartment as a rooftop apartment, and according to him, these homes are a sign of low social standing and poverty in Korea. Ga Young decides to become a tutor for the rich families as a way of making money to get out of these apartments, and she decides this because she doesn't want to be associated with the common folk. As Ga Young is settling into her new home, this cat wanders in and starts a commotion, and as she's getting rid of it, the cat drops its collar. Ga Young picks up the collar and we learn its magic, as she suddenly sees a spirit in her house and they both freak out. We learn that this spirit is a house guardian, and every home has a guardian. Alex says that these spirits eat rice cake offerings offered by the residents of their homes, and then pray to the god of the land. What exactly this god does, Alex doesn't know, and neither he nor I know anything about Korean religion or mythology, so I can't add any insight there. Alex does mention that these spirits love their homes, but they're incapable of physically interacting with anything. From this point, Alex starts talking about the animation in this movie, and while I would like to talk about it, I don't remember much of the animation, so instead I'll focus on what I remember from the story and try to keep it as sequential as possible. Ga Young takes a while to get used to seeing spirits, and her friend eventually convinces her to keep the collar as a bracelet. From here we follow Ga Young to her first tutor job, and it's at this really rich looking apartment complex. Ga Young scans the apartment with her eyes and notices the guardian spirit. It's very small and sitting on a shelf, and it's also very fat and kinda lazy. This might be because the apartments were just built, or that the people who moved in are having some sort of influence on the guardian spirit, but that's just me speculating. One thing Alec mentions in his review is that Ga Young is the only person who ever sees spirits in the entire movie. Throughout this entire movie, we're shown real estate developers buying homes and tearing them down to build apartments for the rich. This not only forces the poor people to move away, but it also might be killing the house guardians. All the guardians can do is pray to the god of the land, and that won't really save them, since I believe the god of the land has lost his power. It's something that the spirits were talking about at some point in the movie. Ga Young's friend is the only other person who is at least aware of the spirits, and she seems very enthusiastic about it. Yet Ga Young never lets her hold the collar to see these spirits and talk with them herself. Had Ga Young taken the effort to expose people to the collar and then the spirits, something could have happened to slow down or stop the development plans from destroying homes, pushing people out, and killing these spirits. Unfortunately, none of that happens. I believe the next thing we're shown is a flashback to Gyeong's past. We're shown that she used to live in the countryside with her family in this nice looking house with the walls surrounding it. Her child self would come home to an empty house after school, and she would simply say, "I'm home," and the gate letting her in would mysteriously unlock and open for her. This makes me wonder, are spirits actually incapable of interacting physically? Before in the movie, they said they couldn't interact physically with anything, and yet here we're shown that there's a spirit that can actually unlock a door and open it. Is this spirit somehow stronger than the other spirits? I don't know. I don't know anything about Korean mythology or religion to tell you. And then there's the rice cakes. They're offered to the spirits. The spirits can eat them, but do they physically eat the rice cakes, or do they get a spiritual embodiment of the rice cakes and eat those? This just raises a lot of questions, and I don't think I'm ever going to get the answers to them. Back in the present, I'm not sure if Ga-young's apartment complex is also on the chopping block, but it might be, because she agrees to help the spirits find the god of the land. The only lead they have is the cat that originally had this collar. I have this picture here of Ga-young possibly chasing the cat. I don't see the collar on her wrist, so the cat might have stolen it, but I don't know, I don't remember. I think Ga-young chases the cat back to the tree from the beginning of the movie, and they crawl underneath its roots to this vast barren plain. In there, she has a conversation with the cat, and I think she might have eventually given up the collar. I have this picture showing the guardian spirits having a conversation with the cat, and the cat doesn't have its collar here, so there's a lot more I'm missing from this movie. I think the tree was the source of power for the god of the land, and by cutting it down, the god of the land lost all of his power and can't do anything anymore. I'm not sure if the cat itself is the god or just an attendant. The last scene I remember from this movie is Ga-young going back to her house. It's all broken down and the only thing left standing is the door. She says that she's back, and after a brief pause, the door unlocks and opens for her. And I think that's it. That might even be how the story ends. I'm not sure. Sorry for all the spoilers, but I wanted to get as much information as I could out there. I hope someone in the comments section below or somewhere else fills in some of the blanks I left behind. I'd very much appreciate it. And please check out Alex's review since I skipped over a lot of the stuff he talks about. Thank you for your time, and I hope you have a nice day.